Hello everybody, welcome back to Mackenzie Woodworking. We've got a great project today. It's a Bougie Birdfeeder. My granddaughter was visiting and she likes to feed the birds, so this is for my granddaughter. So follow along and I'll show you the process that we use to build this bird feeder. And we've made it a little fancier as well. The overall size is 14 by 14. And the first thing we do, as always, we're going to draw a left profile of the unit and our height and our width. And I'm just using a cardboard here to do my pattern on. My wife helps me out. She orders all these cardboard boxes from Amazon, so I've got a lot of them. So we'll just mark out our height and our base. And so the product that we're using today is yellow cedar or cypress, is the given name for it. And because it's a small project, I'm making sure that there's not going to be any knots in it, so I'll be cutting any knots out of it and everything. We want to use clear wood. So the wood material that I used in this project was a fence board, a yellow cedar fence board, and 6 feet long, and a 4-foot piece of 2x2 cedar for the roof. So there's not a lot of material in it, and just a little bit of wire for the bottom. So here I'm just hand sketching out what I'm thinking that we need. And then I'll go to my French curves and then refine the curves and the angles that look right. You've seen me use these in the past and they just work really good and they're quick and accurate. But I always just freehand sketch. I'd like to apologize for the dirtiness of my hands. They're not dirty, they're filled with caulking, marine caulking, polyurethane caulking. I'm also doing a boat project, and the only way to get this stuff off, it seems, is to sandblast it. So my wife is giving me a hard time about and I don't like using acetone on my skin to get stuff off. It's not very good for you. So here we are, and so I've just laid out the top arch, and we're going to lay out the bottom. This is the base of the bird feeder, and this is where all the feed will go. And we're just kind of rounding it up. And once we come up with the size and the dimensions that we like them, we'll go over and cut it over. If you notice the top portion, I'm a 1.5 inch proud of the base because I wanted a overhang on the roof. So we actually live in the Northwest, and we get a lot of rain. So I want to make sure that the bird feeder stays as dry as possible. And then I'll actually hang over the shingles as well. But there, that looks good. So we'll take that and we'll cut it out, and it's not quite 14. To the peak it's 13.5, and then by the time we add our shingles on top, we're adding another inches. So, and it should be 7 inches wide. And the column that goes up the center, I want that to be 3 inches wide. So, and the best way to cut out the cardboard is on a scroll saw. So for you guys that have scroll saws, this is a number 5 blade that I'm using, and it works really great for cardboard patterns or 1/8 hardboard. But I use a scroll saw to cut out most of my patterns because it's quick. You're using light material. And once I get the cardboard cut out, if I'm happy with this pattern, then I'll transfer this to a 1/4 inch hardboard and file it and keep it for further projects. And it did come out nice, and that's what I did. I transferred from the cardboard to a hardboard and then made a couple of small refinements to it. But it's pretty well the same as what you're going to see finished. I say this is a great way to get rid of all those Amazon boxes that keep showing up at the front door. There we go. Now we'll just now we have one side, and then we can so we put a center line on these boards. So there's the base, and then the other side you can see I already had it marked out, and then you just flip it over and do the mirror image, and then cut out. And you don't want to be tempted to do this all in one big piece, thinking that you have one big piece, because you want the top and the bottom to be horizontal grain, and then the column that goes in between, you want that to be vertical grain, and they'll give you a strong bird feeder that's not going to break or crack on you. So it's actually done in 3 pieces: the base, the top, and then the vertical piece, basically the column that's going in between. And you'll see that the column going up will be made of the same material. So the top portion that I measured here to cut off, that's going to be the column for both sides. So when we cut that off, and like I was telling you earlier, all the cutouts on this was done out of one piece, 6 feet long, 1 by 6. These are full measurements, 1 by 6. So, and we just gave it a quick plane. We won't do any finish sanding or anything till all the pieces are put together, and we'll give it a finish sand. I'm using a 1/4 inch blade here on the bandsaw, so all the components are cut out on the bandsaw. And a lot of people try to get really close to the line, and if you stay within a 1/16 or an 1/8 away from the line, that's good enough. What I'll end up doing is that we'll cut out 2 of them and then put them on top of each other. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe, and if you feel up to it, buy me a coffee. It helps the channel and helps us buy some material and wood and keep it going. I enjoy doing them, and if you enjoy watching them, please chip in. And I was almost tempted to reach in and grab that. You don't want to do that. I have done it in the past. So here I am, and what I'm going to do is just marry these 2 together, and I've got the bottom line exposed, and what I've done there is just laid a 1/2 inch piece of foam over top of them and just put in 2 pin nails, and what that does is hold the 2 of them together. But using the 1/2 inch foam, it will leave the nails stick out a 1/2 inch, and then it's easy to pull it out with nail pullers. So these are tacked together now, and we'll just sand to the line. And this is a horizontal sander that we're using here. You can see the pins coming through the top. And if I was doing a lot of these, like for a market or a show or something, what I would do is I'd do a template and then set it up on my router table, or actually shaper table. We actually use a shaper, and go with a pattern bit, and then just cut them as close as possible with the bandsaw and then go there. But this is just a one-off, so this is an easier way of doing it. And if you don't have big sanders like this or smaller ones, you can actually just put some sandpaper on a dowel and sand it to your lines. So there I am with the nail pullers, horseshoe nail puller, and then just pop those out. Now the 2 of them are identical. And I'll do the same on the top as well. So there's our base, and we'll just cut out the top. You'll notice when I'm cutting, I bring the guides down as close to the material as possible. I'm only about a 1/4 inch off the material. Whenever I'm setting the column with the blade, I just put my finger under it and just bring it up about a 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch off the wood. Now, the closer you bring down your wheels and your guides, you'll get a straighter cut. If you've ever used cypress or yellow cedar, it's a beautiful product to work with and tool. It cuts nice. I usually have my dust collector on, but because of the noise in the shop and setting up the camera and stuff moving, I don't have it on, but you see some dust blowing around. But it does cut nice. It tools up nice, sands nice, and takes the shape. So there's our top portion, and here we are. We'll just fit them in, and you can see the vertical piece there, and we have a common line that'll go all the way through. So this, and then what I'll be doing is using dowels. I'm using 5/16 dowels here, and I put tape on the top and the bottom, so I'll pre-drill the column first. You can see I've just taken my finger and marked the center and then back. So that's pre-drilled 5/16, and then we'll put in our pins and mark our holes. And I put some painter's tape on them because they'll show the holes a lot easier. So here we are. We'll just put in our points. These are dowel points. If you've been following around at the rest of the work I do, whenever I use dowels, I like to use these points. They're accurate and quick, and you can measure all day long and not make them as accurate as these. Just bear with me. I think I just want to get a tape measure and just try to find the center mark here. Center mark in there as well. And all you have to do is just give it a slight push, and you can see the divots that it makes. Same in the bottom. I'll just pop them out, push them in, and just give it a slight push. The same thing. I just put a circle mark around it and put them back in the case and put them away. I'm not even sure if they produce these anymore or not. I'm just gluing the holes. What I use a lot of in the shop is these barbecue skews. They're bamboo, they're cheap, they come in I think a bag of 100, but they're great for getting into the glue bottles and stuff, and for getting into the dowel holes. And usually I cut them in half. They don't have to be 12 inches long, but they're great and easy to get into the glue bottle, and then to glue the dowels as well. And one thing, if you buy the pre-made dowels like this, well, we have the problem out here. We keep our dowels and our biscuits in airtight containers. You don't want the humidity in the air to swallow them, make them much harder to get into. You can see how quickly it goes together. We also have in the shop a commercial dowel machine, so if we're doing big tables and stuff, we can just run along and I'll run them in. But for small jobs like this is actually kind of pleasant doing this. It refines your skills again, brings you back to working with your hands. And I'm not going to paint this or put any lacquer on it or anything else. We're going to leave this all natural. All the base and everything will be cypress, and then the roof will be cedar, and it will weather within a few months to a nice silver gray, so it'll look quite nice. I'll give it that sort of beachy look. So there it is there, and what I'll do is just put a couple of bar clamps on and leave it overnight. There's the dogs came to tell me it's supper time, so we've got these glued together, and we'll just leave them overnight, and we'll come back in the morning and do the completion on them. That's Kaylee, the shop dog. So here we are the next day, and we've sanded them off. We just ran them through the sander, and you can see the base on them. And now we have our spreaders. And these are 2 inches by two pieces that are 2 inches by 12, and one piece is 12 by 1 inch. And that'll be at the top and 2 at the bottom, like that. So we'll just put some glue on them, and we'll fasten those in with a couple of brad nails, and then I'll pre-drill them and then put in a screw into them. And the screws I like to use on the outside are porcelain coated screws. They're not that much more now. They really came down in price, so we'll just lay that in. I've gone to find the glue, I guess. I just use a clamp to stabilize it while I'm laying them in. And the glue that I'm using is Type On 3. It's waterproof glue. It'll do two things. It'll fasten it, and it sets a little bit slower, and it works really good on oily material like cypress or cedar. So I'm just holding it in there at the base where it curves in. I'll just put a couple of brads in it, and what the glue does too is it goes into the end grain. It'll seal the end grain. So if you're thinking that it's overkill to put glue on it because it's a bird feeder on the outside, but what it'll do is it'll make the feeders or anything you're building outside last a lot longer, because where the rot will start, or where it'll telegraph through the wood, is through the end grain. So when you put glue on it, you're actually sealing that end grain. And plus it'll keep it together a little bit stronger once this fastens up. We'll do the same on the other side, and then put this spreader on the top. I like to use a glue brush on all my glues. Don't want to get my fingers dirty. Just coat them all. Same thing, just put that together and throw a couple of brads in it, and then I'll do the top same manner, and then we'll just pre-drill it and put in 2 1/4 inch number 8 screws. When I'm putting in the top portion here, I'm just making sure that the outside ridges are just meeting the roof portion, and you don't want to be above it. If you are, you will have to either sand it or put a hand plane. But the top of the board is just even with the peak of the roof. As you can see, that's pretty solid considering it only has some pins in it. And there's my wire for the bottom. So this is 1 inch square. This is coated. This is I had a bunch of stuff around the shop, so you could use galvanized, which is quite cheap, but this is a heavier coated wire. And whenever I'm using wire, I've built a few baskets and stuff. And if you like country baskets and garden baskets, I've got a couple of videos on those. But what I'll do is just staple this in. These are galvanized staples that I'm using, so they're not going to rust or fall out. But what I was going to say, whenever you're using whatever wire you're using, like this is 1 inch square, so I make all the projects that I'm going to use the wire in, and I'll make it a ½ inch bigger than the wire mesh. That's so that the mesh will just come in a little bit from the edge and not spill on the ends, so that you have basically a joining rod all the way around and not just wires sticking out. So that's good and solid. And now we'll just put our screws in, and I'm only going to put in 1 screw on all the horizontal spreaders, and that'll be enough to keep it nice and tight. And we won't be plugging these or filling them. But if you want to be really fancy, you could put a fill in there. So I'm just cutting to length. Whenever I'm working with a lot of small pieces, I like to cut everything to length on the raw material instead of cutting every single piece. So we need 14 5/8 for the roof. So I've cut the 2x2 cedar. And what I'm doing here is running so these are the shingles, and they'll be on the roof. So I run both sides of that, and I'll run 4 of these, and then I'll set the saw back up to 90 degrees, and then I'll cut them again as well. So I'll be getting 4 pieces out of each 2x2 piece of cedar. So right now the saw is set at 10 degrees. That's the angle that we're using for the shake. And like I said, we cut off the right and the left of the board, and then we'll bring the saw back to 90 and then cut off the other 2 pieces. And the big thing about this is cut your block size to the exact size that you need. So you're only doing 4 cuts for all these pieces in the width, rather than cutting every singular board. You know, if you use a 4-foot or 5-foot piece, then I'd be going back to the chop saw and cutting it all. So here they are on top, and what I've done is gave it a 1 inch overhang on the outside, and it's got a 1/4 inch overhang on the front as well. So I'm just marking it, and I'll put a center mark on it. You know, so I've put a little, and then what I'll do is lay them all in, and I've got about 3/8 of an inch overhang, so I'll just lay them in, go all the way up to the peak to see if I have to adjust them or not. I've measured, and I figured that 3/8 of an inch overhang. The minimum you want is about 1/4, but you can go up to anywhere between 1/4 to 1/2 inch. There you go, and it goes right to the peak. So now all I have to do is fasten those down, and what I'll no glue on these, so I'll just be using a staple. So I used a 5/8 staple, galvanized again. So I've got the roof all on, and this is the peak that's going on. And because it has to be angled as well on both sides, so I've just ran a center mark. And then I'll just take a hand plane, and just playing off both sides of it and checking until it fits. It only needs about a 1/4 of an inch bevel on both sides. So this is the ridge cap that's going on top. This is the cedar's wall. This is a leftover of the doing these shakes. You can see there's an angle on both sides of it. So I thought that was a nice look to the top of it. And I like that it's high. So I've just made a center line, so I'm just planing to that line. I should have went to the other table and put in a bench dog, but it's such a small piece. Sorry that it's out of camera. I didn't realize that my camera was zoomed in. And so this is actually the top of that board, and we're going to put a doweling on top of that as a perch for the top. So there'll be the ridge cap. It's a high ridge cap, and I'm just marking out a 1/2 inch piece of doweling, and we just put a couple of 5/16 dowels in there. Whenever you're drilling dowels or doing anything, get yourself some brad point drills, because you can put them exactly where you want. And they're really good for this kind of work. And there's no need of setting up your drill press or anything. Like I said, if you're doing 10 of these or 20 of these, then you'd set up all your jigs and your drill presses. So just I have a line from where my dowels were, and I was just double checking them to make sure that they're the same. I've already marked them all out. And I don't want to go all the way through, so I'll check that 2 or 3 times. And the dowel holes in the bottom are deeper than what I want for the dowel, so I keep them up high, and then I'll just put on the piece on top, and I'll tap it down until it's level, and then I can just go down in the hole as needed. And I'll end up coating these entire dowels because they're softwood, and I believe they're spruce or something. They're kiln dried, but they are spruce. But I'll end up coating them with this glue because I want to waterproof them. I don't want any moisture getting in them and rot. Just take a softer hammer. And you want a 1-inch gap off the ridge. So I'm just going to coat that entire. And they're sitting on top. You see the ridge cap. It's got kind of a pagoda look to it, I think. So that's what I was after, just to make it a little bit fancier. And you can see our shakes now on top. So there's a perch on the top for the birds coming in, and it's all waterproof. Like I said, if you enjoy this, please think about buying me coffee. Everything's appreciated. And please subscribe. There's lots of videos coming up. This just shows you the bottom again with the wire. So I'm going to put a couple dowels as a place for the birds to land. They like round things. But what I'm using is subfloor glue here because I have a round dowel and a round base that I'm putting it onto. So I just basically want to make a saddle for it to sit into it. Once this subfloor glue hardens, it'll actually take up that gap, and you won't get any rocking or anything to it. And all I need is one small pin, so I'll just hold it in place, and there it is there. You can see them on both sides, and you can see the roof portion. It came out quite nice. So there's a place for the birds to land on top, and they have a dowel on both sides. You can see on the inside what I've done here, because I want to be able to clean this out if the birdseed gets moldy or dirty or squirrel gets into something. So you're probably wondering about the mesh in the bottom. It was a 1-inch mesh, but what I've done is put in That's commercial landscape fabric, and water will go through it, but I've cut pieces to go on the inside of it, and it's bagged up on the sides and both ends. So what that'll do is I can put in my bird seed, and when it needs to be changed every couple of months, or the base, I can just haul out that fabric and either wash it off or put a new fabric in. And so that's a commercial fabric, landscape fabric, and it'll allow water to penetrate through it. So I thought that was a good idea. You see it there? See, it just pulls right out. And I also put on the bottom a piece of 1x6 that was left over, and I put that over the screen on the bottom and mounted it with a couple of screws, and that'll be to mount it to a board. What I've done is I'll be putting it on a post, so I've made a just wooden L bracket hanger, and we'll fasten that from the bottom. And if you think the fabric idea is good and that you can keep it clean and dry, let me know. See, so we're just doing a test here, pouring in some bird seed, and so it takes quite a bit of bird seed, but from what I've read, you don't put a whole lot in it all at once, because it does get to be a mess. And so what I'll do is try that. There it is on the hanger. You can see I've made the hanger for the bottom. This is out. We have a little cottage in the backyard, so we just have it out there, and I've made it low enough that I can get into it and check the bird feeder and fill it up. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be higher or not, but we'll test it and see. And it should make my grandchild happy. So this is for you, Kenzie. I hope you enjoy it. And she loves to watch the birds and feed the birds. There's our Bougie Birdfeeder. I hope you build one of these, because they came out quite nice. Thank you.